go ahead and turn up your volume, and we're going to be starting here in just a few moments. And in the chat area, just feel free to let us know who you are and where you're joining us from. We have people from all over the world that are joining us today, and many of you have seen us on some of the replays that we have. So thank you very much for joining us and coming and taking some time today to be with us. So we are Mastermind Magic, as you saw on the slide, and we are a group of like-minded individuals, coaches, consultants from all over the country, and we're here to help you by answering your questions and being able to mastermind those and be able to give you feedback. So thank you very much for joining us, and I'll be posting a little bit later on the link to our Facebook page, so you can join us there and be able to have the announcement of when we're going to be doing these. So we are here, Andrea, we're here every second Wednesday. Every second Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock Pacific time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. So wherever you are in the country, that's the time frame it will be. Yes, that's when it will be. So what we're going to do is, first up, we're going to have questions in different categories. So just so you know that the quality of your life is actually determined by the quality of the questions that you ask. So really, it's by defining that question and having a good quality question you would be able to gain the insight that you're looking for when you're asking your question. So we aren't doctors, we're here to provide feedback. So if there is anything in that realm, we will direct you to that if you've submitted a question that falls into that category. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off actually with Kevin is going to be answering our first question. So let me go ahead and bring that up, and it's under the category of financial freedom. So here you are, Kevin, and we'll get this started for you.
All right, thanks, Athena. And my question, first off, folks, I'm Kevin Smith. I'm with Passion Never Retires. And greetings from the Pacific Northwest. I'm actually visiting Portland, Oregon this week, so I'm in a coffee shop. Where else, if not in the Pacific Northwest? So I have the pleasure of answering a question from Nada in Minnesota. What are some of your daily practices that give you financial freedom? And if you think about it, a lot of my clients actually ask this question, and it's a goal that a lot of us share, but however, only a small percentage of us actually achieve that particular goal. We oftentimes want enough money so that we never have to worry about money again. But one question I ask my clients, are you really ready for it or not? The good news is there's more people than ever that are achieving financial freedom faster than ever through proper financial planning, goal setting, and really having the appropriate mindset. People are achieving the financial freedom they long for. And one question I like to ask my clients is, do you think more money will make you happy? That's a good question to ask yourself. Actually, if you look at authors, one of my favorite authors, John Assaraf, who was featured in The Secret, as well as other leading neuroscientists, their studies would actually tell you that money will make you happier. So what I thought I would do is, I have a 7-point formula that I've gathered from a number of different authors and sources. I thought I'd share with you those today. And I hopefully this will help you achieve wealth, make you happier, and bring you the financial freedom in the years ahead that you desire. The first one I'd like to share is begin to think positively about money. Part of becoming rich involves thinking positively about money. If you think negative about it, it's an emotional obstacle that you must eliminate in order to achieve financial freedom. You got to eliminate the thoughts that having more money leads to evil. Many of us have heard or were raised with, money's the root of all evil, or that money can't buy you happiness. When you begin to think positively about money, you'll attract opportunities and open up many more doors. The second point I'd like to share is rewrite your major goals for financial freedom. And I actually encourage my clients to have a small goal card that they actually carry with them and they can read several times a day. And what I'd like to suggest is start out that goal card with the phrase, I am so happy and grateful now that. Think as though it's already happened. And you can rewrite and review your goals on paper every day and think how you'd accomplish them. It might take between 5 or 10 minutes a day, but the very act of writing it, especially if you start off each morning, really helps imprint that in your mind and increase your chances of that financial freedom. The third point I like to share is plan every day in advance. And the best time to do this is actually the night before. The very act of planning each day, each week, and each month in advance, it's going to make you far sharper and precise at everything you do. You'll find yourself with better focus, a greater sense of self-control and personal power when you actually work from a list. When you plan every day in advance, you're better able to control and track your spending habits as well. So plan each day in advance. The fourth point, and I think this is probably the most important, is practice the principle of concentration. So concentrate single-mindedly every hour of every day on the most important and the most valuable use of your time. It's really essential to achieve financial freedom because virtually everything you do in terms of goal setting, financial planning, it's really aimed at enabling each of us to determine the one or two things you should concentrate on more than anything else. Your ability to develop the habit of concentration will do more to ensure your personal finance success, probably perhaps any other skill or habit you can acquire. The things you focus on and spend the most time on should be in direct alignment with your financial goals. The fifth one is invest in yourself. Listen to audio programs in your car. The average person spends 500 to 1,000 hours per year behind the wheel. By turning your car into a university on wheels, you can become one of the most knowledgeable, most skilled people in your profession. You can purchase courses on money management, self-development, read books on personal finance, and find articles online about money. Before you know it, you're going to be the expert in these areas. The sixth point I like to make is 2 magic questions. And you can ask yourself after every meeting or every event of importance in your life. The first question is, what did I do right? And the second question is, what can I do differently? And I want the answers to these to be positive. But if you review your performance immediately after every meeting, sales call, or presentation, you're going to become better and better faster than you imagine. The answers to both these questions, as I mentioned, are positive, and it really helps you speed up and improve. Every time you enter into a meeting, you're going to find that you're going to be much more precise and improved when you actually conduct these meetings and or events. And the final point I'd like to share is be generous to others. Treat every person you come in contact with like $1 million customer. And since everyone believes that they're the most important person in the world, treat them that way. They're going to appreciate your recognition and your acknowledgement of how important they are. And it's a proven fact that the more generous person you are, it's going to help attract more wealth and become a happier person. And I love the saying, the more you give, the more you get. So I'd like to thank Nada again for her question today on the 7 habits, or the 7 habits I'd like to share in terms of achieving financial success in your life.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do is I just wanted to give you the information about the questions. We actually cover these different categories. So we cover the categories of health and wellness, relationships, purpose, vocation, creative expression, business, and financial freedom. So if you have a question in any of these areas, actually right now while you're on this call and something comes to you, just go ahead in the chat area. You can type in your question. If you want everybody to see it, it'll go to everyone, but you have the option where there's a little down arrow in that area where you can say to admin. And when you select that and you provide your question to us, then we'll just see that privately. So we'll be able to do that and just state that we received a question and then be able to answer that, and you can remain anonymous that way. So just wanted to make sure that you received that direction. So you're welcome to ask any questions that you would like live, and we are going through questions that have already been submitted to us. And once we're done with those, then we will go ahead and open it up to these questions that you're submitting now. So just wanted to make you aware of that. So the next person up for us is Andrea, and let me go ahead and grab the question that was submitted for you, Andrea. So here you are.
What is the one thing I can do to have better communication with my sister? Well, there's a lot of things that we can do. The first thing is to see that person as they are every day. people change. They're not the same person that they were when they were 12 or when they were 4 or even when they were 15, or they change every single day, and they have new ideas and new thoughts. So you need to look at that person every day and communicate with them where they are. Meet people where they are with no judgment. If you want to have truly better communication, you need to really hear what they're saying and not judge what they say. We tend to think, oh, she's always like that, or he's always like that, or he's going to do this or do that. Actually see what they're doing, see what they're saying, and be open to everything that they do say. And then respond. In my opinion, the way I live is let love lead. Always act in love. And ask yourself, what would love do? And then, instead of snapping back or being snarky or, something negative, think what love would do in that situation and act accordingly. The other thing you can do is be sure that you understand what the other person is saying, what your sister is saying. Repeat back her words to make sure that you truly understand what it is that she's saying. And then, if it is completely understood, take a deep breath and don't react. Think for a moment and respond. Respond with a loving response. I hope that helps. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for answering that question. And actually, we are going to have Lisa up next, and she's going to be answering a question. So let me go ahead and get things together for Lisa. Hold on a second. And this one is going to be in the category of vocation. So get you started. So let's see. Can we hear you, Lisa?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good.
So yes. So let me go ahead and start that for you. So it's all you, Lisa.
Okay. Thank you, Athena. I'm Lisa from Zen Encouragement Coaching, and I have a question from Diane in Wisconsin about vocation. And she says, how do I know if my job is not the right one for me? And what is the first step to finding a job that is right? So first of all, I want to say thank you, Diane, for submitting that question, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there today who have that same question and would like an answer to it. So what I'd like to ask you is, do you jump out of bed every morning looking forward to work? Do you feel valued and appreciated in your current place of employment? Are you doing what you love? Or do you feel a longing for something more? Something that maybe is emerging from you? Do you feel a discontent with your current circumstances? So these feelings of longing and discontent, they often spark us to grow. And for me, my job made me feel I was scared at times. I was frustrated. I was stressed out. I was worried. And I felt so stuck that I didn't know what to do. But I knew that I needed to do something before my health and well-being were affected. So I made a decision at that time in my life that I was going to make a change, that I needed to make a change. I needed to make this change badly, and I was going to do whatever I could, whatever it took to make a change in my life. And it was scary. Of course it is when you're thinking about changing careers. It was uncomfortable, and it certainly was not convenient, because thinking about changing a job, there's no convenient time for that. You always have to worry about, what are you going to do with your income and things like that. But when we want to grow, we need to get out of our comfort zone. So the first step that I took was to think about what I really enjoyed in my current job. And I wrote down quite a few things that I enjoyed, like training people, helping people, solving problems. And I also love to volunteer, and I volunteer at Lonesome Dove Equestrian Center. So I worked with veterans from the VA hospital. And then after I wrote down those things, what I did was I basically did a Google search to find out what kind of jobs use those skills, the skills that I loved that would ignite the passion inside me again. And for me, life coaching showed up. And that's what seemed to be in my realm of what I love to do. So thinking about being a coach and helping people with what I had learned through my experiences and struggles in my life, it really, really inspired me. And you can follow simple steps like that too. Just listing the things that you love to do and then trying to find a job that's within that realm for you. There's other things you have to do too. And best-selling author and renowned life coach Bob Proctor says this: there is a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter. And it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. And we have a name for this magic mental activity, and it's called decision. So basically, you must make a firm decision on what it is you want to do before you can bring your dream into reality. No process can begin, no new path can be forged until a decision has been made. But once you make a firm decision, even in the absence of the perfect conditions, because we know there'll never be the perfect condition, a whole manner of things will begin to occur and to rush into aid in the fulfillment of that decision. It's amazing what the universe can bring forth for you. So here's some action steps that you can take after you do make a decision. So do what you can with what you have. Once you realize your passion, identify a job you would love. You can't just jump in, right? You need to find the path. So research classes, find information about what you might need to get that job. Maybe experience or training or some type of certification. Just explore the possibilities. And always remember that you are larger than your circumstances, conditions, and situations that you're in at the moment. Most people just look at their circumstances and conditions to determine what they might be able to do or not do. They make excuses like, oh, I'm too old, or I don't have the right education, or I don't have the right experience, or maybe I don't have the right pay right now to take that leap. But if you take at least one step in the direction of your dream job every day, like make one phone call, talk to one person, do some research, map out some steps to move forward with a plan, you'll be amazed how your world can open up to the possibilities if you take the time to believe in yourself and your dream. So I hope this has helped and given you some ideas towards finding that job that's right for you. Many blessings.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for answering that question. And I'm going to give you some information right now. I think, let's see. So at the top of your chat area, you should have an area that has the link to our Facebook page. So if you click on this link, you can like our page, and then it will be listing the different events and when those will be. So you'll be able to access those at any time, and you'll be receiving information every day in each of these categories. That's inspirational, informational, and you're able to communicate back to us and see if there's anything that you're of interest with, and also ask questions that we can answer here live on the webinar. So next up, we're going to have Patty. Actually, Patty, are you available there? So let me go ahead and bring up the question that was submitted for you. So it is right here for you.
Hi, everybody. My question today is from Lori from New Jersey. And her question is, what are the benefits of having a coach? And Lori, I think there's three big ones. And the first one, I believe, is working with a coach. One of the benefits is they help you see your blind spots. You know, there's a famous saying, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And it's so true. No matter who you are, when you are in the thick of your life or in your business or trying to work through to solve something, you just can't see everything around you. You're just in the throes of whatever's going on. And that is such a valuable benefit, I believe, because another thing about a blind spot is you can be stuck in a blind spot for weeks, months, years. And think about the time waste that is. And think about how that pulls you out of what you're trying to accomplish. It's easy to give up after a while. It's like, I've tried everything. And that's a huge benefit of having a coach, is that they will help you see those blind spots and they will help you get back on track. But I think one of the biggest benefits about it is that, again, it will quickly get you in a new direction. You know, at the end of the day, nobody knows how much time we have on this earth, right? And time is so valuable. You know, I lost my sister at 50 years old. I lost my niece at 20. And so why waste your precious time hitting walls endlessly and blindly when you can have somebody who's got nothing but your best interest in mind to help point things out to you and set you on another path? So that's benefit one. The second benefit, I believe, is that a coach gives you accountability. And let's face it, we all need accountability. You know, when worry and doubt kick in, or distraction, or comments from the peanut gallery like well-intended family and friends, and they try to pull you back into that comfort zone, or a situation tries to pull you back into the familiar. You know, the land of excuses, the land that I don't have enough time, or it's, you know, I don't have enough money, or I just can't. This is when your coach will come in and quickly get you back on track with your vision. And they'll hold you to your goals and to your commitments, and also give you tools to help you to learn how to navigate when those kinds of things come up. And then the third benefit, I believe, is that having a coach provides you a safe structure and support, which is huge, because let's face it, our family and our friends love us, and they may have the best of intentions, but they're coming from their point of view, from their own fears, from their own life experience. And a coach is there to help you get very clear and focused on your goals, and with no judgment whatsoever. They are truly your partner in believing. And what they're trying to do is ultimately guide you to achieve greater results faster than you ever would have on your own. And let's face it, we want to get results as quick as we can. So just to kind of recap the benefits, number one, they help you see your blind spots. Number two, a coach gives you accountability. And number three, a coach provides you a structure and support that you're not going to get anywhere else. So I hope that helps, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patty. So we actually have one of our other coaches that's here on the call, and that is Bill. So if Bill could come on. Woo! Let's see if we can hear you. Can we hear you, Bill?
Hello.
Oh, yes, we can hear you. So let me go ahead and get your question up on here. So it is all you, Bill.
You know, I got to tell you, this question comes from a friend of mine. It's a former Marine by the name of Diane Fries. And I'm so excited about this question. She says, what do you do in the morning to start your day on the right foot? You know, 18 years ago, I made a decision that I would not get out of bed in the morning until I was smiling. And it has served me very well. But here's how I do it. You know, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I start thinking of the things in my life that I'm grateful for. Sometimes I do 10, 15, sometimes 20, whatever it takes to get me smiling. And then, you know, what I do is I start setting my intention for the day. What is a, you know, I create a state within myself so that I feel joy all the way through me. And my intention, what is my intention to be for today? You know, and it just really sets my day up so well and makes me feel good about getting up. I don't focus on any problems. I don't focus on anything financially or any of those things. I get up and I go have my coffee and my breakfast feeling terrific. I hope that this helps you. And it's a great way to start the day. And for you, Diane, simplify. I think that'll do it, Athena. I hope that helped everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Bill. So let me go ahead and get some things going here. And let's see, I think, Andrea, there was a question from Allison on relationships. And let me see, would you like to answer that question before we go further with other things?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Allison asked.
So let me bring that up. Is it this the right one?
Yeah,
Yep.
you have it. Good. I enjoy talking with one of my friends, but I always initiate the contact, and I'm tired of it. I believe if ours is a viable relationship, both parties should initiate contact. We both should be responsible for maintenance. I'm going to wait and see if my girlfriend calls. If not, I'm okay with that. It was a lopsided relationship that I can drop. Am I being reasonable? Well, you always have to follow your heart, Allison. And of course you're being reasonable, but let's take a look at some things. You know, the first and most important thing is your relationship with yourself. And the first thing you need to do is understand, what are your core values? What are the most important things to you? And how do you live into them? What are your needs and your wants? And remember, as long as we have what we need, that's the most important thing. When we have what we want, that's just a benefit. And I've said this before, but always be first in everything that we do. So if you want to have a really good relationship, you know, maybe call her first. You know, if you want to be calm in a room or you want somebody to be calm, breathe and be calm. And that brings down the energy. So whatever we do, we have to be first in what we're doing. That being said, if a relationship doesn't meet your needs, then it's not a good relationship. And you've already said that it's okay if it goes away. So that's kind of the energy that you're putting into it. So I want you to think about that. Is it really okay? Or would you rather try and fix it? And we very often avoid conflict or actually telling people something that we think might be uncomfortable. And this is actually called, you know, 10 sweaty minutes to an uncomfortable conversation. But it is always in the spirit of getting closer to that person and gaining greater understanding. So when it does matter, this is what we do. We want to address the issue immediately or as soon as possible. My mentor always says, it's kind of funny, shovel piles while they're small, because we all know that a big pile is hard to shovel. So you want to state exactly what happened as fact, with no judgment, no blame, no accusations. And then you want to say, and here's how I feel about what happened. And then after that, what is it that you want instead of what actually happened? What is it that you would prefer to have happen? And then ask, would that be okay with you? Get very silent, with your ears wide open, and listen to what they're actually saying. And then hopefully they will agree with what you've asked. And if they can't agree with what you've asked and you've listened to what they've said, then you rinse and repeat and start all over again with the process until you come to a conclusion and you have resolution on both sides and understanding on both sides. And remember, there's some very important rules in healthy communication. The first one being no name calling ever. And no labeling, oh, you're lazy or you're inconsiderate or anything like that. No stacking. You did this a month ago, or you did this 3 years ago, or you did this when I was a kid. Keep it present. And remove the words always and never. Those two words immediately put that person on the defensive, and instead of being present with the situation, they're looking for the time that they did or they didn't do that thing. And no hitting below the belt. When we know someone very well, it's very easy to go in and get under their skin. But that's not fair. And it's not conducive to you being closer to them. So remember the goal of what you want out of the conversation. Now, you may be very angry, you may be very upset, but in the end, what is it that you really want? You want that friend or your brother or your sister to be closer to you. So in this process, you gain greater understanding and hopefully you do get closer. So real quick, shovel piles while they're small. Address it immediately. Address it as pure fact. Here's how I feel about it. Here's what I want. Is that okay with you? And move on. Thank you so much, and I hope that helps. Let me know. Thanks.
Much, Andrea, for answering that question. And we do have another one actually for Bill. So if Bill, you're still there, we can bring the question up for you. So there he is. So let me go ahead and bring it up on the screen for you. And it's a purpose question.
What is the one practice I can do every day that will change my mindset about abundance? Well, let's think about this for a second. You know, with abundance, we could be talking about health. We could be talking about relationships. We could be talking about money. More times than not, most people are talking about money when they talk about abundance. But I want you to think about this. You may not always get what you want, but you always get what you expect. And so what happens is, you know, we want this and want this and want that. But the truth is we don't really expect to get it. It's just like the lottery. You know, most people want it, but they don't expect to get it. And the universe in the law of attraction doesn't work that way. If you don't expect to get it, you never will. So what we want to do is build an expectancy. We want to, let's change money and relationships and all of that. Let's change it to another word. Let's use the word freedom. You know, if we have an abundance of freedom, because we know that money, if we have a lot of money, it gives us the freedom to be more creative. So Let's change that and let's start feeling the freedom of life. The more we can feel it, the more we can move into it, the more the universe will give us and allow us to do the things that we want to do and enjoy in life. So I encourage you to not focus on the things that you don't want, but focus on the things you do want, which is more freedom. And I encourage you to be kind to yourself. Thank you for the question, Diane. There you go, Athena.
I'm back. So thank you very much, Bill, for answering that question. And I actually have a question here, and let me go ahead and bring this up. So the question that I have here from Anne from New York is a business-related question, and it just states, reaching an online audience. So this actually gives us a great opportunity to look at the art of asking a question. So my name is Athena Salazar. Thank you very much for joining us. And I am the Chief Possibility Officer with Life to Design. So here, one of the members of Mastermind Magic. And with this question, it's a very broad question, because when you ask questions that are very broad, you're not really able to get to the core of what you're really asking. Because from this question, for me to answer that, I don't know you personally, so I don't know any of the background as to what profession you may be in, what your purpose is in reaching an online audience. Is your purpose to have brand awareness? Do you want people just to recognize who you are, what you provide? Are you actually wanting them to purchase a product or a service from you? Is that your purpose? Are you wanting to share a message and you have nothing to sell? You're really just wanting to put a message out there, an educational piece. Maybe it's YouTube that you're wanting to use. So there's those avenues where a lot of people, they will just primarily take a video of what it is that they want to share with the public. They might do a blog. There's blogs, there's websites, there's Facebook, social media, there's YouTube. There's so many different avenues to reach an online audience, but it all depends on your purpose. What is it that you're actually looking to gain from that? What is your intention by doing that? So one of the first things to start with is, what is that intention that you have? When, what is my business? What is my purpose of what I am doing that causes it to even want an online audience? Are you just wanting them to see your video? So here with this question or this statement, it doesn't give enough for us to be able to fully answer a question that would suit and meet the requirement that you have. So when you are asking questions, the more specific that you could be, that has specificity, that's relevant to the question that you're asking, then you're going to receive a better answer. So many times with my clients, I've had a situation where one of them, for example, came to me and he said, I want my business to be profitable. I want to grow my business. How do I do that? So we looked at that and I said, well, let's look at this. So if you want to reach a certain amount in your company, if you just ask that question, it will give you an answer. It will probably give you an answer of different things that you could do to have more clients, to bring more clients in. But I knew, because I was coaching him, is that family is very important to him. So his value is family. So then when we went through this process, I was letting him know there could be a different way that you could ask this question. You could ask the question stating, how can I be profitable in my company while having enough time with my family? Because if you ask the other question that we were just stating, where it's just, how can I be profitable? How can I make as much that I can? Then the answer could be, you're spending 80 hours a week just doing your business, and you're going to, be doing the grind to get that. But if you ask the question with the incorporation of your value, then you're actually going to incorporate that, and the answer that you're going to receive back will make sure to have that value component in it. So that is some additional feedback. So when you are asking questions, think through what it is that you're really wanting to gain from that, and to attempt to in some way answer this question of reaching an online audience. There's multiple ways that you can do that. Through here, we're doing a webinar, and there's the opportunity to do Facebook Live, do all of those different things. But just so you know, video is the best way of communication in a lot of ways, because then you have that opportunity for them to get to know you personally. You're right there, right in front of them, so you can share who you are with them. So that's one of the best ways that you can. So if you have different types of, if it's a blog or something like that, especially when you're emerging, maybe you're new in business or new getting your message out, video is one of the best ways that you can do that. So hopefully that was helpful. So giving a little guidance on how to formulate a question. So I'm going to take this back and bring us all back in to the mix here. So if we all want to get back on, you can turn on your cameras and we'll go ahead. And I think we have some time. We've got about 15 minutes or so. So we have some other questions in the backup. So Andrea, was there any that came in from the audience that we should be answering before we do any others?
Quiet audience.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. So let me see what we've got here. That one's pretty large. Let me grab one here. We have a question here about health, and it's from Peggy. So this is the question that Peggy has. How do I control my emotions so that it doesn't affect my health? So is there any one of us, or even Bill, if you were still there, if you wanted to take answer this question? So if anybody would like to take that, just say me, and then
I'll start with it, even if somebody wants to add to it.
Yeah, we can add into it. So let me go ahead and bring you up on the screen here, Patty.
So in thinking about how you can control your emotions, Peggy, so it doesn't affect your health, if that's how I remember seeing the question, think about, what we think about kind of manifests. My mentor taught me, first, everything's created twice. First it's a thought, and then it becomes a thing. It's kind of like if when you're younger, somebody kept telling you that you were stupid, and they just kept telling you that, and you started telling yourself, you keep hearing it. Eventually you start thinking you're stupid, and you're not stupid, but you actually start acting stupid because you start believing it. So something that's not true actually becomes true. And if you think about health, the minute you start thinking that you're going to be, you're afraid of something, like I don't want to get this disease, or I don't want to get a cold. And when you start focusing on, I don't want to get, you're really focusing on getting a cold. So it's really about kind of taking control of, how do I want to feel? I want to feel great. So concentrate on that piece of it. And I'm going to tell just a really quick story, because this is honest to God's truth. Some years ago, I had a huge event that I had to go to, and I had to get on a plane and fly on a red eye. And the next day I was driving 2 hours back and forth to a late night event that I had to do for 3 nights in a row. And I had to be the picture of health, obviously, for just being involved in all that. I got on the airplane, and I was coming down with a horrible cold, horrible. And it was one of those, I just knew it was going to catch me. And on that plane ride, I got stuffed up. My throat was hurting. I was getting the chills. And I am telling you, the whole trip, I was miserable. And all I kept telling myself is, I am the picture of good health. I kept picturing my cells fighting off anything that's bad. That's what I did the whole trip. And it was miserable. But I kept really focusing on, I am going to be healthy. I'm going to land, and I'm going to be feeling amazing. And I landed, and I went to my room, and I didn't feel great, but I kept telling myself that. And honest to God, the next morning I woke up, nothing. not a sniffle, nothing. And I thought, I willed myself well. And that was my first aha with what you focus on. And so if you are saying, I don't want to get cancer, or I don't want to get, cold, or I don't want to catch this, you're focusing on what you don't want. And one more example is you don't want to drop something. You're carrying something. And if you're saying, I don't want to drop this, I don't want to drop this, you're focusing on dropping it. What you want to do is you want to tell yourself, I got this. I got this. And so think about your life. What is it you want? And that's where you put your focus. So that's what I got on that one, Athena.
Well, thank you very much. And we actually have a couple other coaches that would like to add on to that. So I think, Bill, you said that you wanted to add something into that.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to tell a little story. About 18 years ago, around that time, I had an enlarged prostate. I had 5 kidney stone operations. I knew I had an issue with anger, but I didn't know how to deal with it. And I finally found a company in California that would help me. So I went out to California and worked with them for a year and a half. And it changed my life when I realized that I had carried this anger from my very young age of like 5 or 6 years old. And that's what happens is a lot of our emotions are in our paradigm, how we feel about ourselves. Is there something wrong with me? Do I deserve to be punished? A sense of deserving sometimes can create a lot of problems with emotions. And as Patty was saying, emotions will do a lot of harm. You may not be punished for your anger, but you'll always be punished by it. And so when you have anything other than love and joy and happiness, then you're in some form of fear or anger or distrust. And these are the things that cause the problems in our body. The cells of our body don't do well under those conditions. So I encourage you to notice what you notice. Practice loving yourself. Practice really saying good things to yourself until it becomes an absolute habit. Because we have a tendency to talk mean to us. When, if someone else said the things to us that we say to us, we'd be very upset people. So I'm just thought I'd add that to it. And I think that Lisa has something she wants to add to it, Athena.
Yeah, I believe so. So Lisa, we'll go ahead and bring you in.
Hi there. What Bill and Patty said are just wonderful, wonderful tips. And I totally agree with that because Joe Dispenza even says that everybody knows that your thoughts can make you sick. Your stress can bring on high blood pressure and all kinds of different health issues. But also your thoughts can make you well. It works both ways because your subconscious mind doesn't really know what's real. So like Bill and Patty were saying, you can will yourself to feel okay. Another thing that I use is when I feel myself getting stressed out or a lot of anxiety is building up and I feel it like swirling, then I use a tip that Mel Robbins uses. I read her book, and it's basically when you feel that coming up, for one thing, you can turn it into excitement instead of anxiety to say, I'm excited to do whatever instead of the anxiety from it. And also you can do what Mel does and do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done with the anxiety and focus on something else. Because like Patty and Bill were saying, if you focus on the things that bring you stress or anxiety, that's what you're bringing into your life. But if you can focus on something else and press that pause button, give yourself that distraction, count down just to interrupt those thoughts. That is really helpful too. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lisa. So let me go ahead and bring everybody back on. So we actually have a question from an audience member. So I think I can put that out. Yes, actually, Joe asked a question, and he asked the question, I am terrified of public speaking, but would like to overcome this. What tips or ideas do you have that can help? So is there anyone here, Patty or Lisa, Bill or Andrea, that would like to jump in on that? We could all stay together if you'd like.
You want to go first, Bill?
Sure. I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
One of the things I started public speaking many years ago, but one of the things that I encourage people to do if they're going to public speak is join Toastmasters. It's a great place to practice. The people around you are such supportive people. They want you to do well. You're not in an adversity type situation. So I think that's the best start, believe it or not. If you don't have another avenue, just join the Toastmasters. I think that's a great way to do it.
I have.
Yeah, Andrea, please. Yes.
I agree with him. Practice, practice, practice. When you practice, you're ready, and that decreases a lot of anxiety. But I remember the first time that I did my first workshop, and I will never forget putting my hand on the doorknob and thinking, oh, here we go. And I talked to myself, and I have a practice of befriending my fear. And my little fear over here, who isn't so little all the time, his name is Shadow. And I said to Shadow, I got this. I know what I'm going to say. These are just people. I've practiced. You go back to your room and I'll check in with you later. And I took a deep breath, breathed it all out, walked into that room, and I killed it.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think that speaks to what Lisa was talking about with Mel Robbins and the 5-second rule. Going out, right before you're going to go and do a presentation, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out there.
Yeah.
It's like we got a countdown right before we start this webinar.
You know what? There's one more thing too. The same chemicals run through us for excitement as they do for fear, and that's cortisol for the most part. And if you can just redefine the fear and feel it as excitement instead, a lot of performers do that. They've just trained. Ooh, I'm feeling that feeling. That's excitement, and they go.
Yeah.
So those are a few things. Oh, and Patty.
Oh, volume.
We can't.
Sorry. Just to kind of jump on what Andrea's saying, Tony Robbins always talks about before he comes on stage, he generates state. And if you think about when you're generating state, think about what you're actually speaking about instead of worrying about how people are going to receive you, but to really get involved with why you're there, how you're serving. And I love Les Brown has a quote, be the message that you bring. And I just think if you are focused more on serving and what your message is than worrying about what people are thinking, your message is going to land with the people that it's supposed to land with. So
yeah, exactly. And it's as a speaker, you are that delivery mechanism for the message that you have. So when you go out there, you're really there to serve. You're there to serve your public who's listening to you, and you could trip over your words. My first presentation was horrible. I basically read out of a book when I was doing my presentation, but I was there because I had passion for it. And they could still sense the passion that I had. And they wanted to sit down, and afterwards we just sat there and talked after my presentation. And then I was able to relax afterwards. But it's okay. It's okay if you trip over yourself and you mess up. It's just feedback. You know that next time I'll do something differently. I'll do it this way or do it that way. And always be open to have feedback from your audience. Ask them for it. And that's what we're going to be doing for you here, is to ask for feedback. We're actually getting close to the top of the hour. So I want to give you a link to our next webinar, which is right here on the top of your chat area. So if you would like to register for that, you can do that there. And also too, would anyone like to add anything else before we close?
Yes, if anybody is interested in a free strategy session, that's so hard to say, strategy session. Say that 5 times fast. You can go to there's a link, right?
Yes, and I just put that up for everyone, is if you would like to talk to any of us that you saw here today, you can click on the request contact, and then we could go ahead and contact you and be able to answer some of the questions that you may have and want to move forward. So that's there. And also there's an opportunity for feedback. If you would like to go.
Love any feedback, any positive or negative. We need to know everything.
Yeah. We want to improve the service that we're providing. So any feedback that you could give us, and questions, please submit your questions, and we would love to answer those.
Real quick, Athena, who is on your lap?
He's sleeping now.
We saw that.
There's shadow. Your shadow before you go on.
We saw his ears and his tail.
Yes, and he wants things to be known to the public. So every time I put on this camera, he wants to be right there to put his energy into it. So.
Shadow is our mascot.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. You have our next webinar on there. You will be able to see this in a replay. We will put this up on our Facebook page for you to be able to see. So thank you very much for joining us today. And remember to ask those questions, and always ask a better question, because your life will be better every time that you do. So.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.